Alright, the video I have posting is mainly about unnecessary coordination. There's a lot of unnecessary coordination happening right now. You can just see between the lines. You really can. Between people's posts, between people's things that they say in an interview, between things that they're pushing out in reference to propaganda. You can just see it. You really can. There's just a lot of darkness in this world that I don't think that people really understood. I know I didn't. I know I surely didn't. I had no idea that the world was so dark, truthfully. I didn't know that people were capable of being so dark for a little bit of money, or a little bit of fame, or a little bit of power, a little bit of greed. I mean, whatever. I didn't realize that was a possibility. And I'm talking about all areas, whether you got a lot of money, you got a little money, or whatever. Like, for example, yesterday when I was at the nail salon, they were playing, I think it was HGTV, and it was like people house hunting, and it was couples house hunting, and they were choosing between 3 different houses, and they were struggling. There was a lot of things that they were considering that were a struggle bus for them, and the houses that they were choosing between was a $3 million home, a $2.9 million home, and I think it was a $2 million home. I think it was somewhere in those areas. And they made a choice, and they were excited about it, and they talked them down. I think they said from 3 million to 2.8 million, so kudos to them. And so I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, and I'm just taking it in, taking the atmosphere in, the energies in, because I felt all of it. And just processing the day I just worked through, and, just taking it all in. And I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm just like, these people, it's all well and good. That's awesome. If you can afford a $2.9 or $2 million home, that's fantastic. A vast majority of Americans right now cannot. They cannot. I mean, they'd be lucky to afford a home, period. They'd be lucky to be able to get approved to buy a home. To buy a home. Not only for the price of the home, but also to be approved to buy one. So there's a lot of different angles in this, you see, and I just don't know what they expect. This is what's got me so tripped, is based off the economy and the rising cost of everything. You see people that are flying high and able to kind of move up in their career, and you have people kind of at a lull, just trying to get ahead, but they can't ever get ahead. They're having to rob Peter to pay Paul, and it's becoming very evident. And I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, but there are a lot of cases like this where people have taken a little side squeeze, a little side hustle, whatever facet that may be, and taken the bait to get a little ahead, and now they're controlled and they're pushing out certain unnecessary coordination in all different facets of life. And I'm talking about in the podcast sphere, I'm talking about in the political sphere, I'm talking about Main Street media, I'm talking about just General Blow and Mary Moe on the streets. It's across the board. It's across the board how much antics have been funneled out into this whole psyop across all nations. And it's so funny to me because it's various different layers of psyops all happening in conjunction of one. And the lid was pulled off and the light was shined on when they decided to take Charlie out. That's where it all backfired. All backfired. But you have to think, this whole coordinated event in reference to Charlie wasn't something that they planned overnight. This was planned over time. So seeing as it was planned over time, what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means God was watching the whole time. God was watching the whole time. God saw their hearts. God saw Charlie's heart. So he knew. He knew. And so that's why everything's being used in the way, in the matter that it is. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy to me sometimes to wrap my head around it, because I see just the similarities between my story. And it's just ironic to me, because it's like people like to play the victim mentality when they know they're doing wrong. And then the things that they're doing are wrong don't work. The psyop doesn't work. You don't end up driving somebody crazy. They don't end up taking their own life out. They don't end up buying into the system that you keep putting in front of their face by pressure to end up turning like you, or better yet, they end up doing really dumb stuff like y'all do. Although you may have the dirty cops and the law on your side, there's still people out here that choose to live a law-abiding life without getting in bed with corruption. I mean, that's just the truth. There's people that choose to walk a harder lifestyle because they don't want to do the things that you do. They don't want to hang out with the cool kids. They prefer not to be in the circle of the mean girls. They prefer to live a life in truth instead of a life of lies. They prefer not to put out a false facade and just be themselves. They prefer that. That is the road that they would prefer. And that fits for everyone individually, however they choose to walk through life, because it is your choice to walk through life how you do. I mean, it just is. Some roads are harder than others. Yeah, that's evident. That is evident. But each road is equally hard in its own way, in its own capacity. Whichever road you decide to walk down, whether it's unnecessary coordination or it's a life of living in truth and advocating for what is right. They're both equally difficult, just some different difficulties. But at the end of the day, the road you choose, no matter what path it is going to end up hurting you, no one else outside of that, no matter how hard you try. No matter how hard you try. That's why it's so important to take every thought, every action, every free will choice into account when you live your life, whether it's your post, whether it's how you treat people, how you run your business, what your morals, your values, your ethics are, what kind of skeletons you got in your closet that you don't want to surface, because at some day they are going to surface. Whether it's in the public sphere or it's in your mind, they won't surface. They're always going to be there. And you're probably going to find yourself questioning God in a lot of different ways in that, because you know what you do. A lot of the times people question God because they know what they do. They know what they do in the dark. They know what they've done. Truthfully. They wouldn't question God if they didn't have a dark side. That's just, I mean, again, these are my feelings, my beliefs, my perceptions. I don't ever question God. Never once have I questioned him. There's no question to be asked. Not one. Because I know that everything is moved for my greater good, for me to grow, for me to evolve, for me to become a better person. For me to become a better person in a world that does not want you to be a good person. That surrounds you with not favorable people, making unnecessary coordinated events. So yeah, it's a little difficult, but it's a road more than capable with a strong mindset of understanding who you are, what your truth is, what you stand on, what your morals are, what your values are. What kind of example do you want to be for your children? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?